Hey everybody, welcome back. We're back in the shop today on a Saturday. More snow on the ground, cold weather out there, nice and warm in here. Today we're going to do a little roll forming. You're looking at a couple of early Pexto roll forming tools. And I'll dig out a bunch more as we need them. Right now you're looking at a wiring machine and a large turning machine. And today we're going to make a small project just to show you guys how the roll forming tools work. And we'll go around the other side and we'll talk about material, and then we'll get started making a simple bucket or can or whatever you want to call it. And I'll show you a few techniques, and we'll put one of these guys together today. Okay, what you're looking at here are a couple pieces that we're going to use to make our project. Now this is a zinc sheet. It's not zinc coated, it's not flakes of zinc on there. Got a little PVC on the back. Pure zinc, 99.98% pure zinc. It's not like, I don't know if any of you guys remember when there were zinc plating diesel fuel tanks, and all the zinc was coming off and clogging up the fuel systems. This is not plated, pure zinc. This is going to be the bottom. We'll turn that into the bottom. Zinc is a friendly material. It's not toxic. A lot of high-end countertops are being made out of zinc now. Range hoods, you name it. This can be in the kitchen. You can cut food directly on it. It's not going to hurt you. You can make cups and mugs out of this stuff. Zinc is something you need in your diet anyway. This is not harmful to the body. Back in the day, when tinsmithing was very popular, you could get sheets of tin. It's very hard to get pure tin right now. Stainless is kind of hard to work with. I like to work with copper, and I especially like to work with zinc. This solders up beautiful if you need a waterproof pot or something, and it's just nice to work with. So what we're going to do with this piece is going to become the barrel of our can, and we'll take that over to the slip roll, roll that in a circle, and then we'll seam the edge. So let me get some things out of the way and get set up, and we'll get on with that. Okay, I've just taken out the four corners here just a little bit. You see the little chunks right there. We're going to make a lock seam on this. So we're going to bend this up that way. We'll take the other end and we'll bend it the other way. And we'll fold those around, and those will join. And then we'll set down a lock seam. Instead of just rolling it, overlapping the ends, and spot welding it, we're going to make an actual lock seam, which will be much stronger and more waterproof. We'll solder it up anyway, but it's better, it's cleaner. You can't rub your hand on it and get cut or anything. It's better than just spot welding it. So we'll go over to the brake and we'll put some bends in there, and I'll show you how the lock seam works and what we use to set it down. Okay guys, we got the sheet in our Pexto slip roll, and we're going to roll that into a round shape. I'm going to try and get over there now without getting in the way of the camera too much and show you how that works out. Okay. guy needs a little bit more. Alright, I think that's going to be good. Let's get it out of here. We'll hook those guys together, and I'll meet you over at the bench. Okay guys, here's a sample piece I just made out of some stainless, so you can see how they interlock. And once they get interlocked, we're going to take it over to our big seaming machine. See, we've got our piece in there, and this is how you get it in and out. You just knock this guy open, get your piece out, and knock it closed. It's a big machine. I only take it out when I need it. It's very heavy, and what it's going to do is push that seam down into that groove in the lower part. So if you've been following any of my videos, you saw I used this when I made the copper gas tank. I did the seam on the top of the tank, you know, on the same machine. So nothing tricky about it. We just, if you can see it, we've got a stop here to keep the material from pushing forward, and we've got two wheels right here. And I always like to work at the back of the machine. It's just more rigid. We're just going to roll that guy right over that. That squishes that seam down real nice. We've got to tighten the wheels up a little bit. Hang in there. I don't go for it all at once. I like to tighten the wheels just a little bit at a time. Very easy to do. Try and get you in so you can see the finished seam. Pushes that seam right down. And you remember, we cut a little bit off each end there because we don't want four thicknesses there when we're trying to do our roll forming. So that's why we cut them. But there's a finished seam. It doesn't take much of anything. And we'll take that off there now, and we know it's not going to move. And we can get on to do some roll forming now. Okay guys, this is our, what they call a turning tool. And this is going to be the first step of the top wire edge. We're going to put a wire edge on top of this container. So we want to get a groove started. Now this is a very lightweight bucket, or whatever you want to call it, a can. So we're just going to put an 1/8 inch wire around the top edge of it. So I need to set the distance here. I've got two pieces of 1/8 inch wire. Put them up against my stop. I want the second one, the outside one here, I want that second one to be halfway in the groove here. So we're just going to lay those up against the stop. And we're going to get 1.5, and that'll be enough to wrap right around our 1/8 inch wire, and we'll bend that up in a little bit. But set your stop right, and you won't have any trouble when you get to the next machine. So I'll reset the camera, and we'll start to roll this edge in there. Okay guys, I'm going to try and stay out of the way of the camera here. We're just going to hold this up against our stop. We're just going to start to roll this guy around here. It's going to start to put an edge in there. Just go a little bit at a time. Keep it up against the stop. Keep a glove on your hand so you don't cut yourself all up. There's that doubled up area. And just keep rolling it. Give it a little more pressure. Keep rolling it. I'm letting off a little pressure on that. When we get to that seam there, I don't want to bust it. Okay, we're just about there. One more time around. Maybe a little bit more. All right. So we've got a nice edge. Hope you can see that. The lighting is a little dark. Got a nice edge to send our wire right in there. And you can see it on the inside. So we'll roll up a piece of wire next. Okay guys, I got a piece of stainless steel wire rolled up. And I like to roll this a little tighter than the actual circle, so it stays nice and tight. Now if you decide to work with zinc, make sure you check out materials that are compatible with it. Stainless steel is compatible with it. Steel not so much. Aluminum works pretty good. If you're using it for countertops or anything of that nature, make sure you figure out if your wood is compatible with zinc. Zinc can be a little finicky. Certain woods, oaks and stuff, do not do well with it. And same thing with certain other metals. I like to take and I like to put the joint of the wire right at the joint of our unit there. That's all going to be soldered, and I think having a joint there, that'll be stronger once everything gets soldered in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just press this in here, and we're going to start to roll that over with some vice grips or some pliers or something. We'll just bite that in there. I've got a little adjusting to do to the stainless, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we crimp that in there, and then we send it through the wire machine. Okay guys, we're just getting the wire tucked under there, using some of these flanging type pliers to do it. Just every so often you just want to kind of go around this guy and just tuck it in there. You know, just make sure you kind of roll it, make sure your wire is getting stuck under there. Just tack it basically in a few places. Just make sure it gets held in there nicely. It's going to be wrinkly, but don't worry about that. We'll straighten all that out. Just get your wire started in there. Everything's looking good. I'll finish going around that and meet you over at the wiring machine. Okay guys, we're in the roll form machine. That's called the wiring machine. Okay, now this has a wheel on it. Got a very fine edge right here. Okay, and that's going to sit down tight on the material we rolled over. Now the wire's tucked inside there. Try and get you in there. Wire's tucked inside. This is a left-hand machine, and I don't really care for left-hand machines, but it'll do the job. I just sometimes get confused which way to go. Okay, I'm going to hold that with one hand, kind of pick it up, and it's going to roll right around there. Got to back off on that seam a little bit. We'll go a little bit more, take little bites. You don't have to get this all in one shot. Just take little bites. Support it with your one hand. Roll it with the other. Hope you can see that okay. It's making a very nice wire edge. Back off on the seam a little bit. Okay. It just takes a couple passes. See if you can see that okay. We have that wire now tucked as tight as we can possibly get it under there. Okay, so that's nice and rigid now, and we'll keep moving on. We'll start shaping the bottom of this bucket. Okay guys, we're on the bottom of the bucket now, and we got our burring rolls out, and we're going to take, you can see I've got a line started in here. We're going to take and we're turn this flange 90 degrees out. So to do that, we're going to pick up on the container. Every time we go around, we're going to pick up a little bit more. We're going to follow that groove we started, and we just start picking up. You don't need to be in a hurry here. Take very light. Just roll over that gently, and we're going to just keep rolling. Hope you can see that okay. We're just going to keep rolling and picking that up. Let me get the light moved around here maybe so you can see better. Hang in there. It's hard to get good light in there. I think you get the idea. We're just going to keep picking this up. Try and stay out of the way of the camera. Just keep picking this up till we get a 90-degree flange on the bottom of this. It takes some practice, but if you keep doing this, you'll get the hang of it. Just keep walking it around, picking it. I think you get the idea. I'll try and finish this up and show you the finished product. Okay guys, you can see we've got this flange turned 90 degrees, and this is going to start to form our double seam here. So I'm going to mark the bottom. Oops. Get the bottom marked just the way it sits. And we'll add some material here so we can bend that up and then bend it over, and that'll be the first part of our double seam. I'll show you as it goes, but basically this is going to come up, wrap around, and then get wrapped again. And there's a couple different machines I'll show you, but we just get that marked. We'll get that cut out. We'll probably add about maybe a little more than 1/8 when we cut that out. We'll just cut that out with the hand shears. I've got a circle shear, but we'll just cut this out with the hand shears to show you that you can make all this stuff by hand. You don't even need the roll forming machines. The very first Tinsmith did everything by hand with some metal stakes, and pieces of wood and hammers and stuff, and they did the whole entire container. They did pots, they did coffee pots, they did all kinds of stuff just by hand. No rolling machines, nothing like that. So you could do this 100% by hand if you didn't have any tools. Just a couple metal stakes and you can do this as well. But we'll cut this out by hand and we'll keep moving on. Okay guys, here's our bottom piece. It's a little kind of mangled up here, but that's no big deal. We just stuck this in the burring machine and we brought up a 90-degree edge, just rolled it around just like I did with the main body of the container. This is probably the trickiest part of the build. This was always the toughest part for the new apprentices to learn, was how to do the burring and bring up an edge. You're trying to shrink a lot of material here, so it gets a little wavy, but it'll all get straightened out in the end. Takes some practice to do the burring on the bottom piece, but not a big deal. So we'll just see how that fits. Let's stick our container on there. And he's got to work it in there. Okay, so now we're going to take the edge we just formed and we're going to roll that over on top of the edge on the bottom of the container there. You just do that by hand with a hammer. It's that's not difficult. You just basically go around, knock it over. Use this bottom of your container as like a dolly and stuff. You'll feel it, and just kind of start rolling that over and go all the way around until you have it all the way over there, and then the bottom will kind of be secured, and we can move on to the next machine. Okay guys, there's a fair amount of handwork in these guys. We're just gonna keep going around here. I'm gonna take that bird edge, bring it up 90. I'm gonna go all the way around. Kind of tricky with the light on the shiny metal, but hope you can see what I'm doing here. We're coming up, and we're going to start banging that down. There's a lot of metal there. You got to get it all to sit down flat. You got to shrink it into place. You'll see it getting puckered up, but don't worry about that. We're going to flatten that all out with the setting down machine. Just hit the flange. Don't beat up your container. Okay. Now we've got that flattened down on there. Now we'll set that with another machine. I got to dig one out and we'll get it set up, and we'll set that edge down. Okay guys, what you're looking at right there is a Pexto 561 setting down machine. There's a couple different models out there, and it just depends on the capacity that they can handle. So what that's going to do is take that edge right there. We came up and we came in this way. Now we want to squish it. So this is the machine that's specifically made to do that. So let me get you in on that. There's a little wheel guide here on this side. It's best just to go slow, you know, with this machine, and it's hard to hold it up against the wheel, but you'll get the hang of it after a while. So you probably can't see from there. Let me move you around to this other side. Hang in there with me. It's hard doing this without somebody filming and trying to work everything. I don't know if I'll be in the way on that side or not. Hang in there. Okay. Alright, we'll try that. So basically you put it in there, you tighten that down, don't go too crazy, and oops, and just easily walk it around there. I don't know if I'm in the way or not, but you're just easily gonna roll that around there. Oops, too much stuff in the way, but you basically this is the smashing down machine. So it's gonna make that. Yeah, it's hard to do it with the camera in a way, but you get the idea. These two machine surfaces here are gonna squeeze that tight. That's the first step in our double seam. So I'll try and get this flattened down. I think you get the idea. I'll try and get this flattened down and then show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay guys, again with the brightness of the metal it's hard to see, but these two edges are really crimped tightly together. Now we're going to take that in another machine and we're going to fold this whole thing up, and that's in the double seaming machine. So I got to dig that machine out. That's buried a little bit, but let me try and get that out. That's a big machine, so I'll bring it over to the bench where there's some light, and I'll put the double seam on this guy. Okay, you can see what we got so far. Got our wire edge. We've got our bottom, first stage of the double seam. I still got everything out on the bench here, but I think you can see that. So it's coming along pretty nicely. Let's finish up with the double seam. Okay guys, here we have a Pexto 644 double seam machine. This was probably the biggest bench tool that Pexto made. Pexto was made up of Peck, Stowe, and Wilcox. And some of the early machines had the three names on them. Then later on they switched over to just plain old Pexto. It was a Connecticut-based company, my home state. And they were out of business basically before I was born. So I've got a friend not far from here. I think he's 90 years old and still doing well. He was at the auction of the Pexto plant. Got a lot of stuff. It was I don't know why they went out of business. I guess the world is just changing and stuff, but it was a real shame that they're gone. This was some of the first metal shaping I ever did was roll forming, and it's taken a while to find this particular machine. These are getting hard to find, but there's still people interested in it, but the tools are getting harder to come by. Anyway, let's get on with it. Basically, we're going to fold that edge over. Okay, and this is the first stage. We're going to bend that 45 degrees. And we're going to shift the transmission here. Boom, we're going to flatten it right out onto the container. So it's a two-stage deal here. That's your first stage. This is going to ride in the groove. And I'll show it to you. I think I can set up and show you what that looks like. So let me get the container and I'll be right back with you. Okay guys, here goes the first part of our double seam. Just going to roll that around. This first stage is going to bring that guy about 45 degrees over. That's where that seam is. Gotta kind of be careful there. We don't want to mess anything up. It gets tricky. Like I say, we made a lap seam there, so it's different than just spot welding it. Okay, we're just going to go a little bit at a time. Oop, too big a bite there. Take little bites. Bring that around 45 degrees. Again, be careful on that spot right there. Little by little, that's going to roll right over. Hope you can see it starting to come over. I think you can. Okay, we'll finish that up and then shift and flatten it out. Okay guys, when we shift, we're going to bring that back. We're going to bring the square edge of that wheel down. Right like that. And that's going to work that right into place. Again, that's a tricky area right there. I'm going to flatten that right down. When you do this right, and you get a nice double seam like this, that joint is practically waterproof without solder. On waterproof stuff, I always solder them up, but you just keep rolling that around. We'll finish that area by hand, like I say. Just keep tightening it down, rolling it around, and that's going to flatten it, make a double seam perfectly for you. There's other ways of doing it. You could do all this by hand, like I say. And some guys do that, like I say, with stakes and stuff. It's not terribly hard to do, but you know, it takes some practice. And let's see what's going on there. It takes some practice, but you can get it done. And we'll go up and finish this by hand, just around the double seamed area there where we flanged it. And I think you can see how that works. Just rides right on there and makes a very nice double seam. So let me do a little hand work on that one area, and we'll look at the finished product. Okay guys, there's the finished double seam. Get that all the way around. I think you can see that all right. And like I say, that's just about waterproof as it is. We could solder that if we want. But there is basically... Let me try and get you in there. It's been tough filming today. Basically, a nice utility container, bucket or something. Again, this is just how things were done before. There was plastic bags, and you know, there'd be smaller ones of these, and kids a long time ago would take their sandwich and an apple to school in a bucket like this with a handle on it. Maybe some of my viewers remember Little House on the Prairie. This is what they used when they went to school. You know, it's just the way things were back in the day. I still like to make containers like this. Like I say, this was some of the first kind of metal work that I did. And I've had the tools forever, and it's kind of like an enjoyable hobby making things like this. But I've gotten away from it, and I do enjoy doing it. And if anybody would like to see any more of this, or any particular type of thing from way back in the day that the Tinsmiths used to make, you just send me a comment below, and maybe we'll make some more stuff. I've been saving a couple big pieces of copper. I want to make something nice out of that, so I'm not sure what I want to make, but we'll be doing a copper roll forming project soon. Anybody has any ideas what they'd like to see? I'd be open to making some stuff. And let me see if I could dig up some other things I've made through the years. A lot of stuff I gave away or gave to people, but let me see if I can find something else. Okay, I just dug out one of the first things I ever made. It was this copper cup. It's just got some G parts in it now, but that was my first double seam soldered on a handle. So you can make some useful items. Like I say, stuff like this used to be in homes in the 1800s, early 1900s. There'd be all kinds of tin stuff. There wouldn't be any plastic in anybody's house. And this, like I say, this is the kind of stuff I like to do. So you can make useful items. I'm not sure what we'll do with this one. Maybe just put some parts in there or do something like that. But just wanted to show you guys the steps to do some roll forming if you're interested in doing that kind of stuff. It's very easy to get into, and it's not too terribly hard to learn, and I think you have fun with it and make some useful items. So that's all I got for you today. So we'll catch you on the next one. Everybody stay safe. Hit the like button, subscribe, pass the videos around, spread them around. And like I say, always trying to grow the channel. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.